What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to compare the 2014 edition of Dior Homme Parfum with the new 2025 re-release with new notes. So when I first heard that Dior Homme Parfum got re-released with only 4 notes, I have to admit I was a little bit skeptical. Those 4 notes are iris, amber, patchouli, and vetiver. But when I sprayed it on my wrist, I have to admit I was quite impressed and rather taken aback. It was this beautiful iris-forward fragrance, rooted so nicely by vetiver, with some nice warm amber in there and a touch of patchouli. But then, about 20 minutes later, the iris had dried down a lot, and the vetiver subsided a little bit, and the amber came a little bit too forward for my taste. And about an hour into the fragrance, the scent profile stabilized, and it was very amber forward with a pretty good amount of iris and a little bit of vetiver and just a touch of patchouli. While I was impressed by the opening, the rest of the fragrance, which lasted for 12 hours on my wrist, while I did think it was pleasant, I wasn't impressed. While I did enjoy how it smelled and thought it was a very pleasant fragrance, it wasn't groundbreaking to me, and I would say, just in my opinion, that it is quite overpriced. Charging people $180 for a 75 milliliter bottle of a fragrance that lasts on skin for 12 hours. But that's enough about the 2025 re-release. Let's talk about the 2014 edition. So I got a 10 milliliter vial of the original edition of Dior Homme Parfum shortly after I found out that it had been re-released with new notes, because I knew that I knew that the prices were going to skyrocket for people's pre-owned bottles of the original stuff. And I just have to say that the original edition of Dior Homme Parfum is stunning. So on the top, you have a sweet, kind of powdery, a bit lipsticky iris note. And it's rooted so beautifully by creamy sandalwood. And then there's a good amount of a very rugged yet refined leather. And these 3 notes are just so beautifully balanced. And they form together to create this powdery, just gorgeous fragrance. And there's also a little bit of rose and a touch of oud wood in there, and a little bit of orange, just for some freshness. And as you could tell by my facial expression, I love the original Dior Homme Parfum. And I sprayed the same amount on my wrist as came out of the atomizer on the new bottle. I don't own a bottle of the original, but I'm assuming the atomizers are pretty much the same. I'd be surprised if they weren't. But I put 2 sprays of the vial on, and it lasted for 24 hours. I was catching wafts of it for about 15 or 16 hours, and it was detectable on skin for 24. So my conclusion would be that these scents are very different from each other. Just because you like one does not mean that you'll necessarily like the other. And while I do think that the new Dior Homme Parfum is a pleasant fragrance, I would say that it's overpriced based on how it doesn't smell quite that unique or groundbreaking, and its performance for a parfum concentration is not up to my standards. If it was only detectable on skin for about 12 hours, then it would probably only project for maybe 9 or so. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Dior Homme Parfum 2014 versus 2025. Thank you for watching.